Shortly after this reveal, the game was up for pre-order for PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. Guess how much the game is? $70. Once again, this blasphemous price tag is spreading like a disease. And while I've already explained my disdain for $70 games, this is much worse than other games for one reason. I expect this game to not have the same overall quality that the original Budokai Tenkaichi games had. And by that, I mean a complete package with no extraneous monetary add-ons. If you bought Budokai Tenkaichi 2, which happens to be my favorite game in the trilogy, you got all of the characters, stories, maps, and anything else right there on the disc. Nowadays, Dragon Ball games come out with multiple DLCs and season passes, so you can expect to pay at least $90 in MSRP, and maybe more than that. I have no doubt that Bandai Namco will have DLC and season passes with characters that could have been put in but were held off for cash grabs. There's a chance I could be wrong, but history shows that I could be right. Hey everyone, how's it going? I am iamxeracon and I am back once again. Well. Guess who was absolutely right about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? 2 years ago, I put out a video on Sparking Zero's then potential price tag of $70, and that turned out to be the case. I said that there would likely be DLC added, and I was right. I said that there would be characters added in later that should have been in the base game, and I was right. I said you could expect to pay at least $90 for a more complete experience. My prediction turned out to be a bit of an understatement, but I was right. Sparking Zero did release at $70. It also released with a so-called Ultimate Edition for $100 that came with extra characters that arguably should have been in the base game to begin with. But guess what? Even with that edition, there were still a bunch of characters from the previous Budokai Tenkaichi games that were missing. Oh, and for a period, split screen versus mode was unavailable in the game. The only way you could play split screen was if you were on the hyperbolic time chamber stage. So that's another thing that was lacking from the original games. Full split screen was eventually patched in, but it should have been available day one. But jumping back to the present, I believe this was a few months ago, maybe sooner, Bandai Namco announced new DLC for Sparking Zero called Super Limitbreaking Neo. A second trailer revealed the characters that would be added, and most of the roster was comprised of the missing characters from the older Budokai Tenkaichi games. So, missing OG Dragon Ball characters, DBZ characters, and GT characters were revealed. Now, last month another trailer gave us the release date for the DLC, which was July 29th. It should be noted that the trailers were completely silent on what the price would be for this DLC, and if folks who bought the Ultimate Edition would get it for free. Well, I already told you that was right in the beginning, so that already spoils things, doesn't it? Super Limitbreaking Neo, which I'll just call Neo because I can't take the name seriously when it sounds like someone took random adjectives from a custom online player profile card and used that for the title, does not come included with the Ultimate Edition. If you spent $100 on the game, you have to spend more to get the characters you should have had to begin with. And how much is Neo, you ask? $35. So that's $135 to get what I would consider a more complete edition. There are still a handful of missing characters, all the non-Vegeta Great Ape forms, Cyborg Tao, Arali, Kid Chi-Chi, although I can understand why she isn't present, and they did bring in her End of Dragon Ball version, and Kibito Kai. But this is a much better roster now. But not only are early adopters slapped in the face for buying such an incomplete edition, there's now a new edition called Legendary Edition that includes the base game, the original expansion, and Neo for $120. Now, I still think that's overpriced. The good, if you want to see it that way, news is that until August 13th, the Legendary Edition is on sale for $90. I think that's still overpriced, but it's cheaper than the original Ultimate Edition, and you get more content. Even if you pay the full $120 price tag, that's still cheaper than what the early adopters paid for once they went ahead and bought Neo. If you're on console, you might not necessarily get this discount. PlayStation only allows you to have this discount if you have PlayStation Plus, but if you need to pay a subscription just to get a discount, that's kind of sad and defeats the purpose. Microsoft doesn't even feign any cheaper price tag and just tells you to pay up. Wonderful. As of right now, the base game and Neo have mixed reviews on Steam because people are upset that they paid for an incomplete experience. As you can see, these folks are not satisfied with how things turned out. But like I said in my original video, if you just stopped and thought for a moment, if you just used your brain, you would have seen this coming a mile away and would have dodged this disaster as if you had Ultra Instinct. And it's not like I even did something special to come to my conclusion. I just looked at Bandai Namco's track record with Dragon Ball games and used two very important tools called logic and common sense. These folks failed to do that, and that is why they are upset for getting ripped off. And like I said in my original video, it's because of people like them that video games cost $70, and now, 2 years later, they even cost $80. I'm still going to hold off on buying Sparking Zero. I'll wait until the Legendary Edition drops to at least $50, maybe even $40. And I can see that being a possibility by the end of this year, especially if I get it on Green Man Gaming or Fanatical. In the meantime, I'll be playing games that respect me and my wallet. And I hope you do the same. But that will do it for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. Do yourself a favor and don't get ripped off by game companies. So until next time everyone, I am iamxeracon signing off. Have a good one.